Hey guys, welcome back for another video. So if you're like me, you're getting older and you want to kind of make it easier on your back as you're riding your FJR. By default, these are essentially a super sport touring bike. They are a little more aggressive, certainly not an upright seating stance, but I don't want that. If I wanted that, I'd buy a Goldwing. I like the little bit of a lean, but it's going to come back as I age, definitely. Now I've got stock bars on here, no risers, no nothing. They're in the neutral position. We have multiple options for making it easier on ourselves. I'm doing the easiest, the cheapest, and the least invasive. I'm just adding 1-inch riser blocks. They're going to go in between here, and they're just going to raise everything up, and it's going to give me just that little bit of angle on my back. Now, there are many other options out there. They can bring them back, they can bring them up farther, they can do both, but all of those require modifications other than just installing a part, like extending or rerouting controls. I don't want to do that. And they're a lot more expensive and a lot more involved. This is going to be simply unbolting the handlebars. I've got a towel here down that's going to protect everything. Got some simple tools. I'll take you through that in a second. Just a couple bolts to take off. We're going to be removing this metal cage here that just keeps all the cables routed. It's not needed for anything. We're just going to zip tie them in the end because this does not get reused. And that's it. Just bolt it back together and boom, we're done. Now, if you're doing your own kind of maintenance, like retorquing your head bolts, you already have everything you need. There's only really one special tool that you need for this, and that's a 36 mil socket to get this cap off. But other than that, easy peasy. Let's go. This is a kit I'm using. I'll put multiple links down below because this is found under a variety of different names and the prices fluctuate greatly. I got this super cheap for 17 bucks. I spread the word about it and it immediately sold out. So there are some other options. You can just click through depending on when you're watching this in the future and see what the best deal is out there, but they're all the same. We've just got billet aluminum, riser blocks, and some hardware. And we're actually not going to be using these two. We're going to be using the stock screws on the bike instead of replacing them with these because they're nicer and they fit better. Other than that, this is it. These two are going to replace the two studs that are part of those wire brackets, and everything else is just longer of what's there because they have to go through this extra length. For tools, we need a Dremel just to cut the ends and bend up those wire cages so we can get the cables and controls out. We need a torque wrench. We need a 18 socket and a 36 socket and a 19 mil socket and a 13 mil socket with small extension. We're also going to need a normal ratchet, a 17 mil socket and extension, and a 6 and a 2.5 Allen key. Okay, let's start buzzing. And I forgot to mention, we do need the bike up on the center stand, and you may need a helper to put some weight on the back of the bike just to take some weight off the forks at the point that we're going to take that top bracket off. Or you could jack up underneath the headers a little bit, or if you're like me, you probably have long enough arms to just push down a little bit and wiggle that off. So it should be obvious. What we want to do here is only go through the metal part of this bracket. Doesn't really matter where. I'm going to do it closer to the end here because there's a nice space, and all we're going to do is cut it once and then bend it up out of the way. We just need to get these out of it, that's all. So I guess I will see about more room here. No, that's not any better, but I could just go, oh, that's easy. Yeah, I'll just go right in the middle now and just go right there. So just watch where your sparks are flying and make sure they're not landing on anything important. And make sure that you don't put too much pressure on here and accidentally buzz yourself into your cables. Now with the brackets cut, cables free, we're going to go ahead and take off these decorative covers with the 2.5 Allen. Using a 6 mil Allen, take out the two inner bolts. And now with the 17 mil socket, remove each handlebar and lay them down on your towel. Now at this point, your loom should be completely free. Make sure that your cables are all out of it. Once we pop this off, this just drops out the bottom and we're done with it. Now with your 6 mil Allen again, loosen your two triple tree nuts and then use your 36 and remove your top cap. Once you break the torque on this, it comes right off by hand. And then we can carefully slide it off. Go ahead and straighten your front wheel back out. And this should wiggle off fairly easily. I can feel it loose. Wants to come up. So we need a little bit more pressure on the back just to take some weight off the front forks. And this is where I need 2 hands. So I'm just gonna put the phone down. I'm gonna push on my rear seat, and this will continue to slide straight up. We don't need to totally remove it, just need to get this out of the bottom. And there we go. And seriously, it's just literally me stretching and leaning. That's it. That's all you have to do. You don't have to take the wheel off the ground or anything like that. The only people that wouldn't be able to do this is if you're just, 4 foot and your arms can't reach this and your back at the same time. But here we go. Totally loose. Now we just need to drop this and wiggle the cage out of the way. It's just got 2 studs on the bottom. And be careful about these ends because they will scratch anything they hit wherever you cut it. So I'm gonna, again, put the phone down and use 2 hands, but just pull this out of the way and then we can reassemble. Now this is garbage and we can slide this back down. Again, put some weight on the back. This will slide back down. First thing we're gonna do is torque this cap back on. Don't lose this washer. And definitely 100% use a torque wrench on this. You need to torque it to 85 foot-pounds. Straighten your wheel back out. Retorque your pinch bolts. They should go to 14 foot-pounds. If you don't know it by feel, definitely use a torque wrench on these also. Now you need to decide which of the 3 forward and aft positions you want to put these in. It works exactly the same as your stock handlebars. You've just got 2 pins and you pick 1, 2, or 3 position. I'm going all the way back. I believe I was in the middle one before. I'm not 100% sure, but this will just give me that extra little tiny reach. Now in this case, these roll pins are extra snug, so you can definitely use a little rubber persuasion to get it in the right hole. Go ahead and put these blocks in place, and then we can put on the handlebars. So in place of the wire loom that we removed, we're going to use this big old bolt and washer from the bottom, and that's going to replace the stud that was there to begin with. We're going to run this underneath, and that'll stick out the top. And we're going to use this nylon nut, this locking nut, on top of the handlebar. Just like that. It's just on there loose just to keep it in place. Haven't tightened anything down yet. Totally easy to do with 2 hands, just not holding a camera. So now we're going to do the other side. Now for the smaller bolts and nuts, bolt and washer goes on top, nut goes on the bottom, and what I found to be easiest is to use a short little 13 wrench, and I just put my Allen in there, started spinning, and just went in until it clicked into place, and tighten that to 12 foot-pounds. So what you need here is an 18 mil socket on the bottom, on the top of that bolt, and a 19 on the top on the nut. And watch your paint here. Once you get it nice and hand snug, you can take the bottom off and just put an extension or whatever on your torque wrench and finish it to 30 foot-pounds. Now just put your covers back on, finger snug. No torque, just finger snug. These things will strip if you put any kind of force on them. And to button it up, we'll just do a couple little cable ties, one on each side, just to keep everything secure. Yours may look differently depending on what you've got installed. Just make sure that nothing is binding. Go lock to lock and make sure nothing's tight. And there we go. Super easy to install. Take a beer break or 2, you'll be done, no problem, in an hour. If I wasn't doing this video, seriously would have been a 10-minute job. And I apologize in advance if I got a couple of those sockets wrong, because the install is different from the uninstall as far as sizes needed. So I had to go back a couple times and insert things I ran into. But you can see it's all looking just like it did before, except we've got that extra big, thick, it says 1 inch, but that's a little bit more than 1 inch. I dig it though. Nothing binds. It's going to be easier on my back. Hope it helps. See you next time.